Hi everyone. Today we're talking about WheeshtE by Kate Davies. The byline of the book is Creative Making in Uncertain Times. I'm here with Linda Jennings from Color Storm Yarns, and today we are talking about chapter 3, and it's called Within Limits. So, what did you think about the chapter?
An excellent chapter. Um, she talks about how there are three reasons why not having limits is a bad idea, and how important limits are, how they foster creativity. We can work better within limits. And I guess, as we were discussing earlier, another word you could use, I guess, would be rules. How important rules are and how our society needs them. But using her word, limits. I remember growing up hearing this story, necessity is the mother of invention. So,
Mhm.
right, if when we're missing something, it causes creativity to be sparked. I was remembering Picasso's blue period. Why did he have a blue period? Because he was not yet famous, and blue is the cheapest paint. So he
I
painted
didn't know
all the
that.
canvas.
Oh, that is so interesting.
So look what he did with just blue, black, and white, right? When you need
Mhm.
to create, that did not limit him. And then there's the famous artist Johnny Erickson, who was paralyzed through a diving accident when she was, I don't remember the age, around 16, and became a quadriplegic and learned to actually support herself through her drawings that she does by holding a pencil in her mouth. So there's three examples of how limitations sparked creativity.
Wow. I'm thinking back to I've taken various art classes for fun and for school. And, on the one hand, the assignments were always difficult for me. But then the other hand is that having a structure, a box to work within, sort of limited, it was a good thing to have the guidelines of the assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember in photography, you could pick your subject, but you had to practice a skill or a technique or show, through the process of the assignment, you were showing a skill.
Yeah, you're right. Most
Yeah.
most assignments do have parameters.
Yeah.
Without them, the student doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. So for me, like if I'm starting a new project, like a blank piece of paper is very difficult to spark inspiration or try something. Like I don't start there because it's too overwhelming. Like the world is your oyster is too much. Having too much choice doesn't help.
Yeah. There's a phrase that perhaps coins a problem, when you have too much. Yes, the world is your oyster, but you've got to find your little niche to begin. Yeah, I was also thinking about my mom. She has severe limitations. She's been a very creative person all her life, but she always felt like it was important to make sure she took care of the home and took care of the cooking and paid attention to her family. So she purposefully didn't crack open the paint box and start a canvas very often, because she found that she completely lost herself and lost track of time and lost track of her responsibilities. It scared her a little bit. She didn't want to enter that world too often. And now that she's an invalid, can't drive, can't go anywhere easily, is stuck 90% of the time in one room, either on the bed or on the commode. She's found Now she has all the time in the world
Mm.
for creativity because of her limitation. She um, has colored pencils, and she started with cards. Now she's working with 8.5 by 11 drawing,
Wow.
and over the course of several years, I've seen her get better and better with this media because she's more focused in her life. She has so many limitations that she has to maximize what she can do. Even though her hands don't work like they used to, she can hold a pencil. So, yeah, limitations has helped her creativity to blossom. And it made me think about Kate Davies writes a whole article here on this person, this disabled person. What's her name? It's an unusual name. It's a lovely story. Frida Kahlo, a disabled person who created some modifications to what she wore in order to make it easier for her to get dressed. And I was thinking that my mom sewed a lot in her life, so she understands how garments go together. Wouldn't it be interesting for the two of us to work toward designing a dress or a blouse or some kind of garment that she could wear easier?
I love that.
Maybe that should be my homework assignment this week. It's just to talk to her about it.
I took a class on presenting. It's like the class was about teaching for disabilities, or like in an inclusive way. So modifying a presentation for the visually impaired, for a screen reader, how to be more inclusive when I'm presenting to a group of people. And the thread was that universal design is good for everybody. So if something is easy for someone who has an impairment or a disability, then by default, it's easier, more improved for even someone without that issue or concern. And it was really an interesting idea for me. Sort of to your point, if a garment is easy for your mom to wear, it would be easy for all of us to wear. And maybe there are difficulties we don't even know exist. Like, I don't know. I can't think of an exact example right now, but
Yeah, well, I guess we're used to wearing the kind of clothes that are easily available at stores and have been culturally acceptable because we kind of want to fit in with the world around us when we go to the mall, when we go to church, when we go out to a family party. But um, all the greater number of different kinds of cultures that have come to the United States has opened our eyes to different fashion statements. It's very acceptable now to wear all kinds of different clothing. And
yeah.
it's sort of admired, I think. If you show up at a party with something unique, it's admired. It's not like frowned on. Nobody's going like, can you believe what she's wearing? I'm not going to talk to her. No, they all flock around her and say, wow, what are you wearing? How did you make it? Where did you find it? I want one. So I guess that's one nice thing about our culture that has changed. There's more inclusivity, if that's a
I
word.
love that for sure. Yeah, from color, design, style. It's so good.
Right now, how we've included Rebecca in some of our discussions, Rebecca Osborne from
Mm-hmm.
Osborne Fiber Studios. Right now, she's on a trip across the country in a camper van.
Oh, fun.
Talk about limitations.
Yeah.
One of her Facebook pages, she wrote, living in a camper van is a little bit like a real life game of Tetris.
It's the absolute truth.
Because you have a camper van too, right?
We
So,
have a tow camper, yeah, but the same thing.
so when they're spending a whole month in this
Wow.
camper van, and I'm dying to ask her, so what creative things have come about as a result of your limitations?
Yeah, I mean, I think over the past couple of years, we've shifted how we think about space, the space that we need, the space that we use, and how space is functional and how to maximize it. It's an interesting thought exercise to me.
Yep, she's got some great assignments at the end of the chapter too. Did any of them pique your interest?
So she talked about writing a haiku poem. So, like, for me, writing poetry is very intimidating. And again, like adding the constraints of a 5-syllable, 7-syllable, 5-syllable rule is really accessible.
Yeah.
I like to play within those rules or that box. So I love haikus are basically the only poems I write. And she talks about using a 16 stitch grid to create a pattern, stitch pattern, motif, color work, anything like that. So that's interesting. And she talked about photography, right?
Yeah, taking a black and white photograph each day.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be doing any of that, but maybe I'll challenge myself and see what happens.
Okay. Excellent thoughts. There's so many different creative things that happened as a result of being homebound from COVID, right? People learning to work from home. I mean, little did Kate Davies know when she wrote this book that our society was going to go through uncertain times. The whole world went through uncertain times.
For a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. We're still going through it too, I
We're
guess.
still going through it.
Especially my very good friend who herself has a serious health challenge and her son as well. They really have been 98% homebound for 2 years and don't feel safe going out yet. And my husband's good friend feels like he's pretty much done for the rest of his life ever going to anywhere public. That's pretty heavy, but each of us are coping with this thing and finding our own creative ways to deal with it.
It's true.
And you and I starting this book club because of it. So
because we couldn't get together.
Yeah, it's been definitely some. I mean, in order to look at the bright side of things, you do have to be in a place where you can do that. Sometimes people are hurting too much to be able to look on the bright side and are pretty much overcome or overwhelmed by their limitations or by what's going on in the world. We need a lot of support from one another. But hopefully with that support, we can focus on our creative energy and some creative ways to deal with our limitations.
I love that. Yes. So good.
Well, best wishes to everyone this week. Keep those creative ideas flowing and enjoy your knitting, and reach out if you need a friend or call a friend who you think maybe needs to hear from you. I'll do the same.
So good. All right. Bye, everyone.